state your name.
Martin Mill.
Thank you. If you are the conference leader, please enter your leader's code now. You will now be put on hold until you can be placed in your conference.
Dr. Rye.
Has joined the conference.
Dr. Walmer.
Has joined the conference.
Dr. Deal.
Has joined the conference.
Hello, Martin Mill.
Hello.
Do you like your name?
Yes.
It wasn't your original name, was it?
No.
Do you remember your original name? Or the name you had before Martin Mill?
No. It's the only name I know.
We gave you the name.
I know that. That I can grasp.
And you are content?
Yes. The name is fine.
But Martin Mill, isn't it strange that you can't remember your earlier name?
Most things are strange now. No. Everything is strange. Everything.
Everything? Your whole existence. Is that true, Martin Mill?
Yes. As I told the last person I spoke to.
And who was that?
I wish I could say.
Man or woman?
One of those two.
Where, Martin Mill? Where did you talk?
On the phone.
Like this?
Just like this.
But with only one person?
As far as I remember, but my memory's not very good.
Do you remember your life before you became Martin Mill?
Very little of that.
But you wrote an account.
You wrote about a few incidents.
It's a mad account, but I do remember writing it, but I can't remember what it describes.
But you do remember writing it?
Yes.
But if you can't remember the events, how do you know the account isn't fiction?
I remember regarding it as true as I wrote it down, and I do have some recollection of what it describes. That's all.
Just some. Some.
Just some.
So it isn't fiction, you say, and when you wrote it you had some memory of what it was you were writing about, but now you don't.
Your memory has slipped away.
And was your memory always bad?
I had a job.
You had a job, therefore you had a good memory.
Yes, that's what I meant.
And what was the job?
Or what sort of job?
A banking job.
You worked in the Bank of England?
No, not there.
You remember not working there?
Yes, that's right.
And can you say which bank it was, if it wasn't the Bank of England?
No.
Where was the bank?
London.
Where in London?
The city.
Where in the city?
I can't remember.
And you live nearby?
No, I travelled in by train.
You lived in the suburbs.
No, I didn't live in London.
You lived in a village?
No, I lived in a town with many other commuters who took the train to London.
Martin Mill, which town?
There, my mind's a blank, but it was to the north.
A commuting town to the north of London. That is all you remember?
Yes.
Even after so many questions?
Yes.
And are the events in this account which you wrote down set in this nameless place?
Yes, but I believe it did have a name, but what it was I can't remember.
What did you write down?
It's a mad account. I believe I said that. But I didn't write down the town's name.
You did say it was a mad account.
And this must have been discussed the first time I talked.
But still, we are interested to hear your tale.
It's a ghost story.
No matter.
And it's mad.
It still interests us.
I became concerned about a ghost.
Well, that would make sense if it's a ghost story.
Who was the ghost?
Where was the ghost?
I've no idea who it was, but it was in the churchyard. So it says in my account.
Where?
Between the station and my house.
In this nameless town?
Yes.
North of London?
Yes.
Which church?
I don't know. But it was closer to our home than the station.
Our home.
It was where I lived with my wife.
And she was also concerned with the ghost in the churchyard?
No, she was concerned about me.
What was your wife's name?
I can't remember.
Was she a large woman?
Small.
Hair colour?
Brunette.
So Mrs. Mill was small, brunette and concerned about you?
Yes.
And what did she do?
She tried to stop me from being concerned.
She tried to talk you round to her point of view, is that what you're saying?
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
And this was after you saw the ghost?
Before.
You were concerned about the ghost before you saw it?
You just didn't like the churchyard? And Mrs. Mill tried to stop you going there?
She did. And then she vanished.
People just don't vanish.
That's what I put in my account. I wrote down that she went away suddenly. One day, she vanished.
To be heard of no more?
Yes. She didn't contact me.
Did you try and find your wife?
No.
Why?
I can't answer that.
Did you hate your wife?
I don't believe that was the case.
So your wife vanished and it didn't seem very important?
Yes. Or at least, that is what I see as implied by what is written down, and by what little I remember.
Doesn't that seem strange to you?
Everything seems strange now. Here,
When you weren't looking for your wife, what were you doing?
looking for the ghost.
After work?
I tried that, but it wasn't very successful. There were too many people about.
Did you go out again after you had your dinner?
My wife warned me about the drunks in Church Lane.
So you ignored your wife's advice and braved the drunks?
I never saw any drunks there. And I didn't see the ghost at first, not clearly. Just once. I saw a pale figure in the churchyard.
The pale figure was the ghost or a drunk?
Or both, the drunken ghost perhaps, the ghost of a drunk.
After dinner on a Sunday night, I first saw the ghost.
After dinner and after your wife had left.
Yes.
Who made your dinner?
Takeaway.
Chinese?
Yes.
So you finished your Chinese takeaway, you went to the churchyard, and you saw the ghost.
Eventually.
Eventually?
From Church Lane, I entered the churchyard by the side gate, not the lich gate. Or so it says in my account.
And does it say what happened next?
Yes, it does. I went round the church, skirting the graves, until I was between the church and the stables. The ex-stables.
And what had the ex-stables become?
An office. And a shop.
Selling what?
Laces. Heels. Polish. Blakeys. It repaired shoes. It was a cobbler's, and it sold umbrellas.
Collapsible?
Yes.
You remember these details?
Yes. The details aren't in the account. Some things I can remember.
And why were you between the church and the ex-stables?
It was darkest there.
And you managed to step between the graves?
Before I saw the ghost, yes.
So that was when you saw the ghost properly for the first time.
It was 20 yards away. And under a yew tree, but I knew what I was looking at. At least, that is what was written down.
You got closer.
You gave chase.
I fell over.
How?
There was a pause, when we were both still, and I moved towards it,
And you didn't look where you were going.
You tripped.
on a grave.
And then what did you do?
I slapped the ground frantically. My glasses fell off when I fell.
And you found your glasses.
Yes.
And you saw the ghost had vanished.
Yes.
You were alone?
Yes. There was no one there but me. There was no witness.
And what followed this first proper sighting?
I went home. Came back the next night.
On a Monday.
Monday.
And you had been to work?
Yes, I went to work, but I don't think I did much in the office.
You think you were too excited?
In my mad state, I probably was.
Did you tell anyone in the office you'd seen a ghost?
I doubt it, but I can't say with any certainty.
So what happened on the Monday night?
I went back to the same spot in the churchyard and the ghost was there, waiting for me.
Looking for you.
So it seemed.
You had an appointment.
It seemed like that, yes.
And what happened when you and the ghost saw each other?
It retreated.
And you followed?
Yes.
And you fell over?
No.
So what happened?
It went round the corner and I stopped because I feared an ambush.
You thought the ghost would attack you?
I thought it might be dangerous.
Why?
I don't know. I was out of my depth. I've been out of my depth for a long time.
And you went home?
I went home and I came back again the next night.
And did the same thing happen?
Yes.
And the night after that too?
Yes.
But you still went to work during the days despite spending your nights in the churchyard.
It became increasingly hard to work at the bank, so I asked to be made redundant.
Was the bank happy with this idea?
My manager agreed very readily, so it says in my account.
You can't remember the expression on his face.
I believe he smiled. Or so it says in my account.
Do you remember his name?
Or anything about it?
Or is the only thing left his smile? As if he were the Cheshire Cat?
I vaguely remember the smile, nothing more.
Did you always stop at the corner when following the ghost?
I eventually got bolder. I went up to the corner and went round it,
And was it there?
at a distance.
Watching.
Yes,
So you turned the corner.
Was the ghost intimidated?
Did you go to the next corner?
the next night I did. And some nights I followed the ghost all round the church,
And how long did this circular pursuit last?
until I lost my temper.
And then what?
I charged the ghost.
And did it charge away?
It slipped into the church. It went through the doors and I couldn't follow because they were locked. My account puts great emphasis on this.
Did the ghost stay inside?
It moved along one of the side aisles. I could see it pass each window in turn. And then it crossed the nave and escaped by a side door. At least, that's what it says in my account.
Did you go round the church?
Did you charge the ghost again?
I went home. I came back the next night, picked my moment, and ran after it.
Which made the ghost react in the same way?
Yes, it went through the locked doors again.
And again you followed it down the side
And
aisle?
watched it go across the nave?
Yes,
So how did you react to that?
I moved home. I rented out my house and I took a room near the churchyard. It was easier that way to come and go and harry the ghost through the night.
Did you keep charging after it?
I varied my tactics.
Did you hide and try and surprise it?
Sometimes quick, sometimes slow, I manoeuvred the ghost. I cut the ghost off from the church eventually.
Then once you had manoeuvred the ghost, how did you use your advantage?
I drove it through the ex-stables.
Through the cobblers?
Past the umbrellas?
Yes.
And do you remember this happening?
Much of what I put down is vague. Much of it is obscure and it seems mad. I told you, it all seems mad.
And what did you hope to achieve by driving the ghost through the ex-stables?
I hope to drive it away for good,
Why?
because it was a ghost.
So it had to go.
Yes.
And did it?
No,
It came back.
it did.
Did it return through the ex-stables?
I found it in the usual place. It was there as if nothing had happened, so I continued as before.
You pursued the ghost?
Again,
And again.
repeatedly, I chased the ghost. Sometimes I would drive it through the church or the stables, and that would seem a triumph. But it always went through the doors, and that puzzled me. Because if it could go through solid things, it could have gone straight through a wall, but it never did.
You wrote down how puzzled you were.
There are a couple of sides in my manuscript on this peculiarity.
Do you think other ghosts behave differently?
Was your ghost idiosyncratic?
I can't answer that. I'm not qualified to say.
So, did you try to drive your ghost through a wall?
Yes, I tried.
And you never succeeded.
It either went through a door or it just eluded me.
Skirted around you and kept in the open?
Yes, evidently it preferred to stay in the graveyard.
Martin Mill, how long did you spend on this ghost hunt?
Months and months.
And at first you lived in your own house and then in the rented room.
Continued as before, only with greater dedication.
And did you shave every day?
I believe I did.
You kept yourself clean.
I often had a bath.
You weren't a shabby ghost hunter.
I believe I looked clean and tidy.
Could you have been mistaken for a train spotter?
No. I didn't dress like a train spotter, and I wasn't at a train station. I was in a churchyard.
And you were often running about or moving briskly.
I was kept on my toes.
Did you lose weight?
I believe I lost some.
Did you waste away?
No, I ate, but I kept on the move.
And how far do you think you travelled each night? Miles? Do you think you covered miles each night in the graveyard?
I've no idea. I must have travelled a long way. The yards must have added up, but to what? I don't know.
And you were well exercised by your pursuit.
Yes,
You were probably fitter than you'd been in years.
in body.
And what brought this activity to an end?
I thought of a new strategy.
Which was what?
It was madder than what I was doing at first, and that was mad enough.
How mad?
My first way of driving the ghost from the churchyard didn't achieve anything lasting, so I followed the advice of an ex-priest.
An ex-priest gave you advice amongst the graves.
No, it was a long time before.
Before you met your ghost?
Yes,
When you were young?
yes.
And what advice did the ex-priest give you?
He was a defrocked priest, and he told me how to summon the devil.
What method did he use?
He told me I should say the Lord's Prayer backwards 666 times.
Must have been difficult to keep track of how many times you'd said the prayer backwards.
I devised a routine.
You had a method for saying the prayer?
Yes,
There was method in your madness.
yes. I got 4 hats, 4 berets, and 16 stones. I divided the hats in 2 pairs. In the first beret of the first pair, I put 6 stones. In the first beret of the second pair, I put 10 stones. Each time I said a word, I would transfer one of the 10 stones to the second beret of the second pair. When all of the stones had been transferred, I would move one of the 6 stones. There were 60 words in my reverse prayer, and the stones served as a crude abacus. They ensured that I said every word. It was important that I said every word, not even one could be missed. And the stones made me speak at a regular rate. So with them, I could say my prayer in a little under 2 minutes. In 1 minute, 55 seconds, I calculated. So even with a pause between each one, I could complete the procedure within 20 hours, which was also important because the prayer had to be said 666 times within 24 hours.
Did you devise this method all at once?
It took me a while to perfect, judging by my manuscript.
The defrocked priest didn't help you with any of this?
He only explained what I had to do, not how.
Why was he defrocked? Was it whiskey or choir boys? Or was he caught with the devil in his bedroom?
I can't answer that.
Did you ever know?
What I remember of the man is very limited.
What was his name?
Frank,
What was his surname?
I can't answer.
Did he have a nickname?
Yes,
What did you call him?
Frank. I called him Frank, other people didn't.
These details are clear to you?
Some things I can remember.
Martin Mill.
Yes,
How long did you spend on this attempt of yours?
I was mad for months.
And then what happened?
I'm here, aren't I?
Here we are, all together, or at least together on a conference call.
And not the first.
The second, and there will be more.
Many more.
We'll get to know each other very well.
But now we would like to know what happened to your wife.
I told you. And it must have been discussed the first time as well.
But we want to know what happened.
She vanished.
Vanishing is a very neat trick.
She managed it.
Was she a clever woman?
Very.
Clever enough to vanish?
Yes.
Without a trace?
Yes.
Did you shoot her?
Shoot her.
With a gun?
What gun?
A Webley.
A Webley
A
what?
Webley revolver.
Old-fashioned.
Inherited.
Your grandfather brought it back from the Somme, you remember that.
No.
There was ammunition too.
Where?
In the 2 boxes.
But why would I shoot my
Well,
wife?
that's for you to tell us.
We can only help you remember.
We can't put words in your mouth.
But why?
Did you struggle in the office?
No.
In all prosperity there is a seed of insolence.
You were prosperous, weren't you? You were a banker.
I managed.
You did more than manage.
You managed very well.
With the house, the car, and the trophy wife.
So you were prosperous, and did that make you insolent?
No. Where?
Were you insolent in the office?
I can't answer that.
Did you upset somebody else's apple cart?
Apple cart?
Did you overstep the mark?
Where?
In the office.
I asked to leave, I'm sure. I asked to leave.
Before you were thrown out?
I can't answer that.
We don't intend to put words in your mouth.
Good.
But we can help you to remember.
With so much so vague.
You're not the first.
First what?
The first to be upset by your memories, to be appalled.
Some people think of the mind as one thing. It is better to think of it as a committee.
A committee that meets by conference call. There are just voices in the head.
As with any committee, there are different roles.
One part of the mind does the thinking. Another fetches things from the memory. Another, the conscience, decides between what is right and wrong. And it is all overseen by the chair. The chair is that part of the mind which can oversee the mind thinking.
Not only do you think, but you know you're thinking.
Martin Mill, you know you're thinking, don't you?
Yes, I know.
Good.
Then we have hope of progress.
And there are times where the committee in the mind, the committee that is the mind, fails to agree. Sometimes it even divides. There are times where the fetcher and carrier find things in the memory it doesn't want to touch. There are times where the fetcher and carrier and the thinker conspire together. They know what the others will say. They know that there would be uproar in the mind if certain memories were fetched back or considered.
Part of my mind has gone on strike. Stopped working. Is that so? Popular psychology.
We are very experienced.
As I said before, but perhaps you don't remember, you're not the first.
No.
No, Martin Mill, not the first.
But we can help people to remember what it is they need to remember.
Your wife, for example. When you met her, she was young. A young creature of the female sex with a powdered nose. Is that true?
She was younger than me.
She was glad to find herself a successful banker, a rich and impressive man.
And you impressed her, didn't you, willfully?
I can't answer that.
And she proved compliant.
She was easygoing, I believe. Low maintenance. That's what she said once.
That's what she said of herself.
Yes.
But the house and the car were important.
Or wasn't she seduced with luxury? Compliant. Pliable. She complied with your desires in the car, on the motorway at night, even there. Is that true?
What's true?
I believe the seats of the car were important.
Soft. Wide.
And she would undo her seatbelt and undo your fly and do your pleasure on the motorway at night. It's lucky you didn't crash.
But the crash came later.
When you overstepped the mark.
when you signed those transactions.
What transactions? And where's the evidence?
We mustn't put words in your mouth. We need to rely on your memory.
Which doesn't work.
But it can.
No.
Yes, with time. We have time.
We're going round in circles.
Circle will follow circle. It may seem like an eternity, Martin Mill, but we have time. Now we need to ask you what happened between you and your wife. We need to know where she went.
She vanished.
It must have been hard for you to tell her that you were unemployed, only an ex-banker.
How would that have looked in her eyes?
I can't answer
It was
that.
easier to close her eyes, wasn't it?
Close her eyes.
With a gun.
Your grandfather's Webley revolver Mark 6.
Did you suggest Russian roulette?
With 6 bullets.
Did you say that risk leads to excitement? Did you say that only those who are willing to take risks know that they are alive? Did you put a bullet in each chamber and let her go first?
Evidence?
Do Russians play Russian roulette?
How should I
Did the
know?
Russians invent Russian roulette?
I don't know any Russians.
Russians and white Russians?
White Russians.
From Belarus.
Belarus means White Russia, doesn't it?
I don't know the language.
Minsk.
Minsk.
Business trips. Minsk and Moscow.
My mind's a blank. Details. Evidence.
You mustn't put words in your mouth.
We can only coax your memory.
And we will. We will help you. We're here to help you remember, and we have time.
This is help, is it?
Or was there some cruder trick to get her fingerprints on the revolver?
Was she dead but still warm?
Evidence.
You could just write it down.
When I could remember more than I could remember now, I wrote an account.
Were you married in a church?
Yes.
A church with a churchyard?
Yes.
The church with the ghost.
I can't answer that.
It would fit, wouldn't it?
Fit what?
Fit the ghost hunt.
How?
Martin Mill, whose ghost was it?
I can't answer that.
Was it your wife's ghost?
How should it have been my wife's ghost? I don't know that she is dead.
Revolver, bullet, brain.
And evidence!
Did you bury her body in the graveyard?
Buried!
With a shovel and lots of digging.
She vanished. I wrote that
You
down.
could write some more.
Why?
Martin Mill, there's no better place to hide a body than a graveyard.
She vanished.
Where would you hide a leaf?
What?
Where would you hide a leaf?
I've no idea.
Martin Mill, you can still think.
Yes.
If you put a leaf in the sandpit, couldn't it be seen?
Yes.
If you put a leaf on a library desk, couldn't it be seen?
Yes.
So the best place to hide a leaf is a tree.
Okay.
And where's the best place to feel lonely?
My mind's a blank.
Haven't you ever felt lonely?
Yes.
Very lonely.
Lonely with other people?
Yes.
The answer, therefore, must be plain.
I believe so.
A crowd is the best place to feel lonely, and a cemetery is the best place to hide a body.
I don't remember digging in the churchyard.
Why would you cling to your wife's ghost if you weren't married to it?
I was mad.
And why would the ghost cling to the churchyard if it wasn't buried there?
I can't answer
We
that.
don't intend to put words in your mouth.
But you must learn to work.
Work harder.
I don't have a job.
Your memory is your job now.
We will help you
With
work.
our help, you will find things in your memory.
Good.
The reason for your extraordinary ghost hunt can be extracted with time.
But if I was mad, there might not be any
You
reason.
will find a reason once you know how to look.
And where?
I don't know what happened to my mind. There is so much I just can't remember.
We explained what happened. You may not believe us and you may not be completely convinced, but we have time to talk over and over again. And when you do believe us, many things will emerge. You'll realise that all of your memories need to be examined, each and every one.
Everything I've done needs to be examined.
You must believe there is something wrong.
I've been saying that.
When the memories will not come because of some abomination, there's a terrible unease in the mind. Aren't you uneasy?
Yes.
Martin Mill, the dead take root beneath the earth. They grow with hate, they plague the lives of men. Their anger spills into men's souls. They can reduce the soul to an oozing stump.
Marvels. The earth breeds many marvels. Terrible marvels overwhelm us, to quote an ancient Greek.
Loosen the string of your tongue.
Speak plain.
Tell us what passed between you and your wife. Unburden your soul.
You wouldn't have us believe she ran away to join the circus, would you?
I'm lost. Utterly lost.
She is lost, but we will find her together.
How?
There are many things you can answer by writing your account of what happened.
It's here. I have it with me. I've written it.
In the bank where you worked, was there ever any document that was correct at first draft that couldn't be improved?
Probably not.
You must write and write and write. Draft after draft.
I've written it all down.
Try again. There is no limit to the time we have. We can help you endlessly.
You want a confession?
We want you to write your way to the truth, however long it takes.
Pain comes from
This
darkness.
is called wisdom.
It is pain.
We're helping you become wise to yourself.
Help us to help you.
You can find things in the dark if you're prepared to
If you're
look.
prepared to get down on your hands and knees.
Help us to help you.
With our help, you can move out of the dark into the light.
I've got to write it down again.
But do you want to?
Yes.
Good. Very good.
But
Dr. Rye.
Has left the conference.
Dr. Walmer.
Has left the conference.
Dr. Deal.
Has left the conference.
Martin Mill.
Has left